Hello. Hey. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harith Iskandar, and thank you very much for joining us on What's Going On Malaysia Industries Unite version. Sorry, I'm just going to turn the volume down here on my phone. What's up, people? First of all, thank you for joining me. Secondly, need to do a little bit of housekeeping. You need to let me know, can you hear me? Is everything clear? Sound, lighting, is it all good? You can hear me? Hello, Eber, Louis, Jack Chung, Ping Chi Hoi, Alex Legends, Lim Zenif. What's good? What's going on? Sam Lee, you guys can hear me? Is all good? Is it all good? Is it all good? Can you hear me? We have got another episode tonight. I know, right? Because I have been live the last couple of nights, and it seems like there's just so much to talk about. And I'm live again tonight, as I said I would be. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Simon Wong, for letting me know it's loud and clear. Kamaluddin Din Linda, thank you so much. 10-4 says, can you? First of all, how are you all doing? Are you all okay? Ada baik tak? Sehat? Semua okay? The date is the 3rd of June, 2021. We are 3 days into the FMCO. We're 3 days into the so-called total lockdown. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I will not be alone. I've got a very special guest coming up with me in a moment. I'm sure you've seen the poster. We're going to bring him in a moment. But first of all, a couple of housekeeping rules. Guys, share this Facebook Live post. Share it right now. Just share it. Just share it. Get as many people involved in the conversation. I'm going to be bringing you into the conversation. For example, let me show you how I'm going to be bringing you into the conversation. For example, right now, there you go. So Linda Lee, actually, I wanted to ask who apply MITI is not under essential service to operate business as usual or under essential services required. So there you go. This is how I'm going to be bringing in the comments. This is how I'm going to be bringing in your comments, and we're going to be talking about it, not just myself, but with our special guest. So I want you to comment as much as possible and share as much as possible this Facebook Live, because we have an awesome show tonight. What are we going to be talking about? Well, yes, I know I have been ranting. Yesterday I was ranting about the whole tutup pintu buka tetapi issue, the cryptic message left by Ismail Sobri. And then today, what has been exploding on the internet is Azmin Ali has been responding, our minister, saying that, yes, MITI has not only released 128,000 approvals, but it is not just up to MITI. Each industry can apply to their own related ministry, so to speak. But that's not actually the issue. The issue is right now, the people, the communication, what's happening in Malaysia. I think there's a lot of confusion, and I think that is actually the issue. So here's what I want to talk about. Tonight we're going to be talking about not just the issue in general, but the actual mood of the nation, and perhaps why we are in the situation that we are in this situation, because I've got a very special guest coming up right now who has a lot of experience communicating with the ministries that be, communicating with the ministers that make the decision, and he's got a lot of insight to give us. He is sometimes controversial, he's sometimes outspoken, but he's always interesting. So guys, just going to be checking. I just want you to know that I have got all your comments here right now. Super hot. Catherine Raju says it's super hot. Yes, Catherine. Oh my God, are you in Kuala Lumpur? Panas gila kan? Gila. Like, what is going on, Malaysia, with the weather? It has been extremely hot out right there. You left out people in MOH. Young Kwan says, I left out people in MOH. Well, did I leave them out? Okay, I'll be talking about that. All right. Okay, yes, I know. There is a I'm sorry. There is a petition going out around. Yes, someone has shared it with me. Is it sack Azmin Ali or ask Azmin Ali to sack? Wow, dude, I got to say something. You guys are blowing up. You guys are blowing up in the comments. You know, which lets me know that before I take a sip of this Chinese tea, I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to bring on my guest right now. This gentleman is, oh my God, should I say he's a controversial figure? I don't know whether, yeah, maybe, yeah, whatever. He's a controversial figure. He's hot right now. He leads a group of people called Industries Unite, which is a whole bunch of SMEs. He'll tell you more about that. It's hundreds of SMEs. He's in constant contact with the powers that be, the governments and ministries. He's also a lawyer. He does a lot of work with the Orang Asli. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please let me welcome onto this virtual stage my very, very special guest. I'm so glad to have him here, Dato David Gurupatham. Dato, how you doing?
Hello, Harith. Good evening. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, David, before we jump into the meat of the issue, maybe just spend 1 minute explaining or setting yourself up to the people who may be watching, who may not know you. Who are you, and what do you do, and why am I talking to you today? Come on, let them know.
Okay, well, I'm just a lawyer, but I do believe that I feel very passionately for people, especially people who are suffering, people down the line. I used to be a waiter and a bartender. I put my way through law school, try to make the rent. So I know what it feels like. And today people don't have jobs. So rather than just sit behind a couch and whine, I'm always someone that goes out and tries to do something. We started this thing, MCO2, early January, middle of January, where we got friends together who represented associations of businesses. We started with 18, and we've grown to 110. We've been quite active as a lobby to push forward the interests of the people and the business community. We've managed to engage with, I think, as of now, 8 ministers and ministries, excluding Bank Negara. And we've been able to give them a lot of data that they required. We've been able to give them a lot of feedback from the ground, a lot of the enhanced SOPs as well to see whether they work. So we've been quite busy, and you know, hopefully we've been able to achieve a few things for the people.
Okay, so yeah, you know, as you speak, I'm thinking on behalf of my viewers here, my followers here. You know, most people don't know. Most people think that there's a couple of people in the powers that be who make all the decisions, but most people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You know, people like yourselves, people who are lobbying with us, you know, bringing the point of view of the people on the street, so to speak. So I'm going to jump straight into it. When you say, you know, we've been talking to the ministers and all, without getting into detail, let's just put the headlines out there. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Why are we, as in Malaysia, in such a, how shall I say, in such a confused state right now, where we have changing SOPs on an hourly basis and rising numbers? Like, in a nutshell, and I wouldn't say you're on the inside, but you have enough knowledge about the inside. Why are we in the state that we are right now? Just throw it out there, and then we'll talk about it.
I don't have a lot of insight, but I can tell you from my experience in dealing with these issues. Firstly, there's a disconnect. There's a very big disconnect between government and the people. You know, they don't really engage enough, and that's something that we've been saying from day one. You know, engage with people, engage with business communities, engage with ordinary people, the micro entrepreneurs, get their point of view. You know, and so we've been trying to act as a bridge. Second thing is communication. You know, that doesn't seem to be a lot of communication between the ministries, because it doesn't look very cohesive. You know, it's very disjuncted, and it's very They seem to be working in silos from my observation at least. And also the other problem is communication. We should improve. We could improve tremendously on communication. They really need to get communication sorted out, because there's the lack of communication and proper effective communication has led to a situation where there's a lack of clarity. There's a lack of clarity between ministries. There's a lot of lack of clarity between the government and enforcement and people. People are not clear. So there's a lot of confusion because of that, and that's compounded the issue. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the comments, and people are saying this, like, echoing what you're saying. They don't walk on the ground. There seems to be a little bit of disconnect there. We've been doing this for, I would say, a year. We started March 18th. We've been doing this a good year and a few months. Would you say, in your opinion, because I think you were there from the very beginning, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is it status quo? Like when you talk about lack of communication, when you talk about disconnect, and let's talk truthfully here now. I kind of agree.
No, I completely agree. I think people are fearful, and people on the ground are fearful. They're afraid for their jobs. They're afraid for their lives. The frontliners are busting a gut. People are, just concerned about how fast they're going to get vaccinated. They're worried for their families. They're worried for their children. And mainly because there doesn't seem to be a very clear path forward. Even for business. I mean, where's the exit plan? Where are we going to be 3 months from now, or likely to be 3 months from now? Granted, it's a novel situation. It's never happened before. But, there needs to be some firm leadership. There needs to be some clear direction. I mean, that's what people are looking for, some comfort, some confidence. Businesses require confidence. If businesses don't have confidence, then how are we expected to have foreign investors to come and have sort of confidence in our market, right? So, and that stems from a lack of what I would think clear leadership, whether it's at enforcement level or ministerial level or, even above that. Well, somebody needs to, get everybody together and say, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. This is how we're going to deal with it,
Okay, David. Okay, so the way you're talking right now, you're very much talking the very big picture. So correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'm looking at the comments. There's two sides, right? There's livelihood and there's life. You did mention to me on WhatsApp earlier, you've got, the people who are more well off are ready to lock down and demand, yes, let's lock down. But at the end of the day, there are people who live on a daily wage or even less than that, who will die, so to speak, if there is a total lockdown. So not going to get into that. If you could put in a nutshell your point of view, without, let's get personal right here. I just want to hear from the personal David. Total lockdown or not? We'll start there, and then we'll go forward and work out why your answer is this answer. Just from a personal point of view, from David, the man, the dude, the guy. Total lockdown, like screw it, or what?
It's impossible to have a total lockdown, because you're going to need to get food. You're going to need to get medicine. You need to have the supply chains in place. The country needs to move. You need government. You need enforcement. It's impossible to have a total lockdown. We need to strike a balance, and use data and science, to see how to keep as many people at home as possible. That's what we need to do.
Okay, let me just hold you right there. You said something very interesting. Use data and science. This is my impression. What I'm getting is right now that there doesn't seem to be much, in my opinion. They have not been using data and science. So yes, I agree with you. You can't totally lock down everything. You need to get medicine. You need to go to the pharmacy. But at the same time, you may need to get a wax for your chipak or whatever it is. But
yeah, I watched your show yesterday. That was a hot topic.
So, Okay, let me put this in perspective. I just want to hang on this. So everyone heard today 128,000 businesses receive approval, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, that's such a lot of businesses." But you put into perspective. Can you give me the numbers? 128,000 is not actually
when you think about it, we have 6 million plus SMEs. So including other businesses, factories and all that, you're looking at 10, 12 million. So when you take 125,000 in that capacity, that's about 1% or slightly over a percent. Now, I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying that we probably can do better. And that's down to the ministries themselves actually going through a better vetting procedure to make sure that we can keep as many people as we don't need out there. I think the word essential service is a misnomer. And I think that's brought a lot of confusion, just that word. I think it should be a negative list. What's needed, what's not needed. Even that is subjective, to be honest with you. A negative list and a positive list. Only what's absolutely needed should be allowed, right? And that should include some businesses, because you can't, you can't keep everybody at home. You won't have electricity, water, etc.
Okay, you know what? I think at the end of the day, we could talk all night about what is essential, what is not essential. What I want to hear from you right now, because I know you have this information, is how could it be done better? How could everyone is upset? Oh, why this is essential? Why is that not essential? Blah blah blah. The numbers are rising. I think today, in terms of deaths, we had 100 plus. Yesterday, we had our highest number ever, 126. What's okay? Let's start with what's not working. Now, once again, I use the word not working. I don't mean what is wrong or what is right. What is not working? You did mention disconnect just now.
Government. Sorry, but that's the obvious answer. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on your show, but you said I was going to be controversial, but no, really, that's true. I mean, you just look at what happened yesterday. You have a minister leaving a cryptic message on social media, right? Inviting comments, right? Now, people are going to comment, and then where do you stand which side of the law do you stand on? And then, that leads to further confusion. We don't need things like that. We need to see a confident group of people trusting each other, working together, to try and help the country. Not all of this blame game that we're facing today. I mean, with due respect, I know there's a petition out against one particular minister, but look at the reality of what it is. At the end of the day, before the first, we were told KPD and EH would sort out the vetting process and would decide based on approvals given by the individual ministries, right? So the Ministry of Transport, Bank Negara, and so on and so forth. And then the system crashed. And so they went back to the MITI system, MITI. And don't forget that at the end of the day, MITI doesn't give all the approvals. It only gives approvals for those industries that are under MITI. So MOTAC and all of that, Transport Ministry and all that, they give approvals for the individual applications, even though they go through MITI. Okay. Now, I want to say something, Harit, and maybe it's not what everybody wants to hear, but the truth is there's a team at MITI, and they've been working. They've been working, 7 days a week, long hours. They deal with requests, complaints. They look into everything. I mean, there are a lot of hardworking people there, and I can assure you, I can tell you, we've got, I'm in a part of a MITI group that's dealing with business, and they are online, on WhatsApp. I had a meeting with KPD and one of the officers, at 11 p.m. on a Sunday just before the first. And he was trying to explain how the system was how it was going to work or not, and so with due respect, I think there are a lot of people in government who are actually working. The real issue is really the upper alkyons, maybe the ministers and the cabinet, and whether there is that cohesiveness, that connection between them. It looks like there's a lot of politics going on to man the street, at the upper level. So, but I think, honestly, the people behind the scenes, the people who are actually working, the teams that are actually working, whether it's in MOH, KKM, and all of that, they're doing a fabulous job. We must remember, while we're having the life and livelihood debate, the frontliners are busting a gut this very minute, So a lot of people out there are working, and they're relying on decisions that are going to be made by a small group of people. And they have to get their act right. I'm sorry, but they're accountable for this. Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking the stand that it's a difficult situation, right? It's a difficult situation. Yes. Let's look at the big picture here. And I don't know whether I want to put words into your mouth but okay, we are where we are today. So there is disconnect. There is people who are not talking to each other. In the government, they're not connecting with each other. And then on the other side, you've got the rakyat, the people who are out there, who are like the people who are watching the show today, angry about this, angry about the other, disagreeing with this, disagreeing with the other. What can we do? Like, seriously, I don't want to. I understand that people are upset. I understand that people are right now. Azmin Ali is a punching bag, but I understand as well that it's not up to one person. Yes, that we think, it's that one person. It's MITI, but as you've just pointed out, it's not just MITI. There is, many other people making decisions. My point being, how come there's so many other people making decisions? And let's forget that. What can we do moving forward? Like let me put you in the spot right now. Put you in the spot. I'm not saying this is going to happen. If you were Prime Minister today, or you had absolute power, whoever it is that has absolute power, what are a couple of changes, a couple of things that you would instantly implement to just shift the mood? Shift.
My honest answer: sack the cabinet.
Change the cabinet?
No, yeah, because I would get people who know what they're talking about, who've got experience running a business, to understand what's happening on the ground. People who understand micro businesses, experts, statisticians, people up there who know what they're talking about. Because obviously I'm coming to that statement based on the performance of a group of people that have really, in my opinion, let the rakyat down. I'm sorry, but I think that's how a lot of people feel at this point in time. That we need capable people, we need capable people up there. A lot of people are comparing Singapore and other countries where they have very intelligent people up there, and sadly, I think that's what most people feel. Unfortunately, what we do, we elect the same people over and over again. So is it our fault? I don't know. Maybe we should look at each other and see what we're going to do the next time there's an election, right?
Okay. This is my point of view. I'm going to point out this point of view. It's actually very fine to say, yes, change the cabinet, right? But I think you know as well as I do that even if you change the head of the current system that our country operates under, beneath that there's a whole civil service. There's a whole. You can change the train driver, but if the train track has been set in stone, that's not going to change much, if you know what I mean, right? So I agree.
Actually, I used to hold the same perception about generally the civil service, and it may be true about the civil service in general. But to be fair, over the last, and I've been, I say that all the time, but the reality is engaging with a lot of the KSUs in a lot of these ministries, they're actually very experienced, very capable people. I mean, if you talk to some of the people, the KSUs and all of that in MITI, in KPDN, in MITI, they're very intelligent people, and they're on the ball. So I don't know if it's true across the board. It may be true across the board as a general statement, but I think we have capable people. Well, we need better leaders, maybe.
Okay. So the quote there is, I think we have capable people. We just need better leaders.
Or rather,
Yeah.
no, I mean, let me rephrase that. Better leadership. You know, a lot of these people are very experienced, but, you know, maybe they need to step up a little.
Okay. Sorry, bro. I don't know why I didn't notice it before. Your T-shirt, Unity. What is it? What does it say? Completely. Read it out. Unity.
You know, I support this social enterprise. It's called Project 57.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know them.
I'm a big supporter of social enterprises, especially this one. I'm very proud of them. I think they've done a tremendous job over the last 4 years. Like Sadek and Colin Suri and them a lot, and fully support the movement.
Fantastic. No, sorry, I got distracted there for a moment. No, so yeah, going back to what you were saying, I agree with you. The perception right now, the feeling in my heart is, yeah, let's not talk about individuals, let's talk about leaders. There seems to be a lack of leadership. Now, sometimes leadership, correct me if I'm wrong, you need to have an iron fist. You need to come down. Sacrifices need to be made. Now, yeah, here is the thing though. I do a lot of work with my NGO called the Hope Branch. And on the one hand, you know, you can see how lockdowns, total lockdowns, truly affect the Rakyat. And those in the ivory tower, as we speak, may not have that connection with the Rakyat. But at the same time, you know, if you have the big picture, you realize that, yeah, what do you lock down? What don't you lock down? But putting all that aside, I think the big question why everybody's asking is, how did we get ourselves in this position in the first place? And I kind of agree with you. Perhaps the first place we can look at is leadership. I mean, I really don't know where to go from there.
You know, everybody makes mistakes. That's granted. Nobody gets anything perfect. But, you know, the way in which things have, you know, we can look back and we can see, you know, it's quite evident how slow the whole process was in procuring and approving the vaccine. You know, how we managed the situation, MCO1, MCO2, the idea of the Sabah elections, you know, and, you know, what they started doing was increasing the fines. But listen, you know, you found that most people are quite fed up with the double standards, right? Almost every day, you know, you read of some minister or some personality that has flaunted the law, flaunted the SOPs or the guidelines, and then nothing seems to happen. You know, I mean, to me, leadership by example. You should lead by example. You know, not make examples of the rakyat. You know, you find businesses 50,000, 10,000. You know, I mean, these people can barely survive, right? You know, and I mean, it's something that I've said before. I think online, I think, you know, that was really unfair. Like, you know, when they came up with this word people run and they started closing down a lot of restaurants and fining people for piped in music and things like that, you know, at a time when they were struggling, I felt very strongly about that. I felt very strongly that they should have, you know, used a different method, maybe advise people first, and then if they are persistent, you know, things like that. I mean, you know, they need to come out. They haven't shown a lot of compassion. That's what I felt. I mean, as a rakyat, if you want to call it, as a citizen, you know, I felt that through this process, the government didn't show a lot of compassion for people, you know. Right?
You know, I agree with you. I agree with you. Everybody easily focuses on, this stall owner was fined 5,000 or 10,000, which means the world to this person, and then some starlet gets fined 10,000, and that's just pennies in her pocket. But I agree with you. The moment a leader shows some kind of compassion, like oh God, his name is escaped me. The policeman, Nick Azrin, the high level policeman who shows up at a home of someone who was arrested for a crime, but you know, realizes that the reason behind the crime is because the family was in trouble, and you know, this woman needed to to feed her children and all. You're absolutely correct. You can implement laws and find this person, that person, but if you just, I mean, let's talk about branding and marketing. If you just show a little bit of compassion visually so that everybody sees it, you can soften a lot of hearts. You can really make a difference.
Yeah, but Harry, to be honest with you, the people out there are a reflection of us as a society, okay? Whether we like it or not. The people out there are a reflection of us as a society. When you have groups that go out and say, oh, how come the Carlsberg factory is open? And then they close it down, okay? Without regard to the fact that Carlsberg and Heineken contribute to 4.5 billion in taxes a year, levies, and so on and so forth. And then that doesn't even take into account the taxes on the consumption of that alcohol. It could exceed, beyond 5B, right? And if you think about the government that is cash strapped at the moment, out of the 45B that was announced under Permakasa Plus, only 5 billion was in cash. So somebody decided, no alcohol, made a comment, and then those people up there decided, hey, you know what? That represents the whole of society. We're not going to think rationally at this point in time. The nation's interest doesn't come as a first. It's how many votes we're going to get in a ballot box, and then they made a decision. I mean, that's how a lot of people, that's what a lot of people are thinking. So what I'm trying to say really is, at the end of the day, it's a reflection of us as a society. Why am I wearing this t-shirt? Because we as a society need to understand that if we don't get our act together, if we become disconnected with each other, then that is going to be reflected in the leadership that we elect, the people that we elect, I mean, I'm sorry if it's not what I'm supposed to say, but me, I just shoot from the hip, man.
No, I'm going to agree with you on that one. So the whole Carlsberg or the alcohol issue, that goes into a whole different kettle of fish, which our country is struggling with and dealing with over the last 30 years. But you're right. It is a reflection of who we are at the moment. Okay, you know what? Let's have a look at some of the comments right now. And let's see whether we can respond to that. Penny Yong says the new government starting out in the right footing, but is getting bad to worse after the Sabah election. His voice leadership is getting weak and directionless. It's hard for people here to trust him and give him another chance to lead their country. So Penny Yong is obviously upset about the Sabah elections. Short one, in your opinion, was that a turning point? Did that really escalate the numbers, or were numbers going to go up anyway by allowing?
No, I think someone did a study. I read about it, and they've actually attributed the rise in cases after MCO1 to the Sabah elections and people coming back from the Sabah election. And don't forget, again, they waived quarantine requirements for certain groups of people that were coming back from the election, and that's what I say about double standards. Where's the science and the data behind it? A lot of people are questioning that. How come the politicians don't get the virus, but ordinary people get the virus? How come ordinary people have to quarantine 14 days? They only quarantine 7 days. So when we start, when there's not enough will on top, then it's going to translate down to people, And then you blame people for saying, I want to go and celebrate Raya at home. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, right? I'm just saying, man, So I think, the Sabah election did contribute. But having said that, Harit, sorry, I just want to add something else. We also have to take into account, based on reports, that there have been various other strains that have come about since then, and a lot of mutations, and it's become more virulent and airborne even. That's what I'm reading. So, it could be many other factors as well, to be fair,
Yeah, so exactly true. Here's my point of view. I know there are a lot of good people on both sides, or how many other sides of the government there are currently at the moment. There are a lot of good people who want to do good work. I agree with you. This good work is not getting through, the message not getting through, the action is not getting through, maybe because of the disconnect. There seems to be a lot of mini Napoleons who are having their say heard. But at the end of the day, right, as I can see from all the comments right now, let's talk about this comment. A lot of people have been arguing about this. The entire issue, says Vinesh, is all because the parliament is closed. Open it and it will solve all the problems. Okay, I'm just using a little bit of, so apparently, according to Vinesh, you open the parliament, all the problems will be solved. Get the right person to do the right job. KJ has no clue on how to manage the vaccination program. Replace the responsibility to someone with more experience in the medical line. Would you like to respond to Vinesh Kumar, Dato David?
Okay, well, I think as someone who fights for the rule of law, democracy, I mean, someone who stands for that as a lawyer, certainly I feel that Parliament should reconvene because it should be the voice of the people that is paramount. And also, at the end of the day, with Parliament, you will have debate. You will have debate, and debate is always good. Sometimes you can take from constructive criticism. And the worst thing you can do during a time of crisis is just have less people to give ideas or to question or to challenge or to come up with a solution. When you believe that, we've got it under control, we'll make the decisions, we know better than everybody else. I mean, they say pride comes before a fall. Whatever the reason is, I think most people realize and accept that there is no justification for Parliament not to convene. I mean, whether we like it or not, I mean, really tell me one justification, right? I mean, if you talk about essential services, does that mean the members of Parliament are not essential? Just
I know, right?
Sorry, you're the comedian, I'm the lawyer. I shouldn't cross you.
The divide. We could talk about this all night. The whole Darurat, etc., etc., etc. But there seems to be a rift, right? So even Azalina was calling for a reconvening of Parliament, and this goes to show about the whole disconnect. Let's okay. I'm going to leave this topic just for we're going to leave this on a lighter side at the moment. Not to say lighter side, but yeah. So you've been around long enough, David. You're dealing with the inside. If you were to make a prediction, like let's look 8 months or let's look 12 months into the future. Can we get over this? Is it within our? You're a lawyer, right? So how does the Darurat work? So August 6th, I think, Darurat ends. What happens then?
Well, there are two issues here. Okay, one is the emergency, but
okay.
And the other is the convening of Parliament. Okay, they're not necessarily connected. Even during an emergency, Parliament can be convened. I believe even the YDPA has said that they can convene. So I think a lot of people are asking why are they not convening? Okay. Now, if you look at the reasons given for the emergency, they said, well, the COVID situation is really bad. At that time, it was 1,000 people. We're at 8,000. So has the emergency actually helped? No. Right? So if it's not working, why are we still in an emergency? I mean, I'm just asking as a layperson, not even as a lawyer, And then also the signal that it sends out to the market and the investors outside when it's no surprise if you look at where the ringgit stands and where we are in terms of last on the list of investors. Why is that? I mean, it's no coincidence that it's because we're in an emergency, right? Now the government has said, we need all these powers to appropriate private property and all that. Look, they haven't done that. right? And then today you have, yesterday you had MOF come out and say, oh, well, look, we can't touch the banks because we don't own the bank. But it's okay. I mean, when it comes to a moratorium, look, we don't, the banks made the X billion in profit. I'm sorry, we can't force them to give you a moratorium, but we have the powers to force private individuals to hand over their properties for medical emergencies. I mean, so things like that. People are not dumb. People are asking questions, right? So then the issue is really, is this all a distraction? This whole life versus livelihood, is that distracting us from all these issues that you brought up? I mean, the fact that you might argue for a total lockdown, and I for keeping industries open, which I'm not, by the way. I'm saying that it has to be within reason and what have you. But having said that, here we are fighting like Manchester United and Liverpool because we've taken a position. You know what I mean? And then, but in reality, it's not the same because there's no winner in this argument. But at the same time, while we're having this discourse, we're not focused, or we're distracted from the real issues that's plaguing the country, some of which you just rightly brought up. Yeah. So should we really be focusing on the bigger issues at this point in time?
Okay. You know what? You talk a lot about focusing on the bigger issue. Okay. What would be the biggest issue right now that we are not focusing on?
The biggest issue right now, actually, there are a few. The first one is getting people safe and helping the frontliners out. We need to accelerate the vaccination process. That's the most important thing. The safety, health of the public is paramount. That's the number one criteria. The second criteria is really helping people at the moment. People are struggling to put food on the table.
How do you help people? How do you help people?
So then you look at the Pemerkasa package, right? One of the first things they need right now urgently is a moratorium, right? Yeah, you can exclude the top 30%, but it should be an automatic moratorium, not just for bank loans, but also for credit cards, hire purchase, leases, and so on and so forth, at least for 6 months. Now, the government has said, well, we'll let the banks decide. But is that really working? No, it helped a lot in MCO1. Now, why it's important? It's not really about should we be helping people, not lost their jobs or whatever. SMEs and the M40 really need that help right now. Why? Because it frees up cash flow. You have cash right now because a lot of them have exhausted their reserves. So deferring these payments will allow people to have cash right now, and that cash will be spent in the economy, which will circulate, in the economy. We need to do things. I mean, like, we have the Cooperatives Act, which allows cooperatives to borrow and lend, and we can adjust the interest rate so that it's lower. You can create a digitalized system because it's not efficient. Make it efficient, digitalize the whole thing, bank by phone. Allow for peer-to-peer lending, right? Have private capital, unlock private capital. There are people with money in fixed deposits that are earning next to nothing. They are not going to let that happen because banks have a monopoly. Now, when you take a loan, and then we need to get rid of all these charges that come along with this so-called moratorium, right? Because don't forget, you get your interest that's compounded, and then you get all your various charges. You have a restructuring charge. Think about it. There was a moratorium last year, and yet the banks made money. They don't lose money. It just gets deferred. But people need cash right now, and I've made that point very clearly in a letter even to the PM, which was issued yesterday, right? Which was during the financial crisis, they used taxpayers' money to bail out the banks. Tune of maybe 60, 70 B. I'm not sure whether it's Dana Harta, whatever Corp, and so on and so forth, right? Don't you think it's time they paid it back? Or at least I'm not even saying pay it back. I'm just saying defer on a cost of funds basis. Why can't we have realistic measures to help the people, right? So vaccinations, number one, I'm not going to rant about this. Number two is, help people on the ground, not just the B40. Great, thank you very much. The B40 are the first that needs to be looked after. I completely agree. These are the gig economy, the people down there, they need help. And that's great. It's welcome. But you've got to take care of the M40 and the SMEs, because if you don't, this M40 is then going to go into the B40, and then you're not going to be able to recover. Okay, so that's something that we really, really must address. So these are the two things: getting aid to people on the ground and accelerating vaccinations. I think those are the two most important things right this very minute.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds simple to me, the steps. If it is that simple, in your opinion, why isn't it being done? What, like, okay, I get it. We saw the reports, the banks are making billions in profit, blah, 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 blah. Who has the right, because this is a free market, who has the right to go to Maybank and CIMB and say, no.
Maybank, CMB, who are the major shareholders or substantial shareholders? Think about it.
Okay. I don't know, you say.
Yeah, it's MOF, EPF, a lot of the government agencies anyway, right? So that's the right, technically, it's our bank. Technically, fair enough, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just, kill the banks. No, that's absolutely wrong. No, we can't do that. We're not asking for free money. We're just saying on a cost of funds basis, 3 months, maybe 6 months, we're not going to kill the bank. It represents only 20% at the most of their profits this year, 6.7 billion. That's all it is, really. Okay. And we have to look after the banking sector. I do agree, 100%. We cannot have the run on the bank or loss of confidence in the bank, because then our ratings will drop and the economy will just tank. So it's not like I'm saying, go after the banks and get the banks to bail us out. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not a very responsible thing to do. What I'm saying is we need to find a balance, but we need to help the people. And we can achieve that balance if there's an automatic moratorium with an opt-out without the charges, defer it for 6 months. It's not going to, I think, kill anybody. My personal opinion. Yeah.
Sorry, I saw this question, Nicholas Young. Isn't the emergency ordinance supposed to empower the government? This was mentioned in the news. What's that smile on your face about, bro?
Good question, Nicholas. Very good question.
Do you have an answer to that? Very good question.
Yes, certainly. I mean, if the emergency ordinance allows the government to take your house, technically private property, and turn that into a nursing home or a hospital or whatever, which they can. Yeah, they can appropriate. Yes. It's been gazetted private property. I'm not saying your house, but generally they can do that, right? So why can't you impose conditions on financiers? I'm not saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying kill the banks or get the banks to give us a bailout or whatever. No, we have to be responsible, but there is room in terms of the profit that they made. And I'm not the only one saying it. There are a lot of people, economists as well, who are saying the same thing. Yeah, they're just working the numbers.
Sorry, bro. You know what? I think, you know what I like about this conversation? I like the fact that we can have a conversation about it. We can present our point of views. I just want to say to everybody who is in the comment section, you guys gotta chill. There's a lot of anger out there, and there's a lot of debate out there. But at the same time, we need to be able to disagree on certain things. I don't think Dato David claims to have all the answers. I certainly don't have all the answers. We are not in a position to make those decisions, because as you know, and David, you know this, you can easily say, okay, we should do this, but every time you make a decision, there's sacrifices along the way, right? And some of those sacrifices may involve people close to you, people it's I know it's an ever it's not an easy answer. I have the utmost respect for anybody in the political line. There are a lot of good people, a lot of idiots as well, but there are a lot of good people, and decisions are never easy. So here's what I always say to younger people who take a very black and white attitude. Government is bad, opposition is good, or opposition is good, government is bad. Did I just say the same thing? Whatever, blah blah blah. I'm like, you know what? It's never black and white. It is every time you make a decision that is good, someone is going to suffer. It's like a general in a war. We're going to send 250 troops in there. 150 are going to die, but we're going to save 1 million. How do you make that decision? So you know what I mean, David. So it's just people are angry. We acknowledge that people are angry. My concern.
It's a conversation, Harris. At the end of the day, everybody's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah.
And nobody knows whether they're right or wrong. And I certainly agree that there are so many other solutions. I may be right, I may be wrong, but what's important is that we have that conversation. We agree to stand to be corrected. We agree to accept someone else's opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that this is how I feel. I may be wrong.
There was a comment from my post yesterday where someone said, "Allah Harith, blah blah blah. What are you doing for the country? Tak kisahlah, kenapa aku nak dengar? Why do I have to listen to you? What are you doing for the country?" And I didn't respond to that, but in my head I'm like, dude, I'm just having a Facebook live conversation. I'm not claiming to change anything. We want to have a conversation. And here's the thing, though, because Malaysians have got to the point that conversation has got to, you got to say the right thing or the good thing. But at the end of the day, we're just generating ideas. We're just generating concepts. Yeah. And based on that, maybe someone can take some action. So people out there, chill. I'm not going to change the world immediately. We're just having a conversation with David here, and I'm glad all of you.
The thing is this, Harith. At the end of the day, everybody has an opinion, and everybody has an idea. Everybody has an answer. Nobody's sure about whether they're right or not. What's important is to have that conversation, and we have sometimes to agree to disagree. We have to respect everybody's point of view, which I do.
And you're absolutely correct. We need to be able to disagree without splitting.
Yeah.
I think that is sadly lacking, especially now in the age of social media, where your algorithms, your Facebook posts, your Instagram posts only feeds you what you want to hear. And the moment you have a different opinion, people are blocked, people are cancelled, and then you only surround yourself with the people who go, yes, I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you. I love the fact that, I'm able to disagree with people able to disagree with me without being, all asshole about it and using, profanity and all. You can have different opinions. I don't like K-pop. It's just an opinion. K-pop is the hugest thing in the world. You know what I mean? So that's what. Do you listen to music, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like off the top of your, if five albums that you would take on an island.
5 albums that I would take to an island. I would do Pink Floyd, Metallica.
Pink Floyd, Metallica.
Some Pavarotti.
Pop, hello. Okay.
Yeah, I like opera. I don't know, maybe another 2.
Okay, so you're showing your age here, bro.
Yeah.
I have a Pink Floyd T-shirt. I will wear it one day in honor of you. So, okay. Now everybody's joining in the conversation. Led Zeppelin, someone has mentioned. Absolutely.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin. Yes.
Yes, there we go. That is a Metallica fan. Of course, who is not a Metallica fan? Oh, someone disagree. K-pop and R&B and hip hop profanity. I don't know about that. Okay.
Yeah, I like hip hop and R&B as well.
Okay, Ricky says, Harithasana, let me correct your statement. The government is not bad, but it is worse to the worst. A bunch of clowns in the government, hilarious and ridiculous. Ricky, you are allowed to have your opinion. That is the whole point. That is the whole point.
Well, to be honest with you, no, that's not what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the government is bad. All right. Listen, I have worked with them. They've opened their doors. 8 ministers and 8 ministries opened their doors to us. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying the government is bad. In fact, if anything, this government actually opened their doors to us and we managed to get a few things done. I'm saying that things can be better. There's nothing wrong in saying that. There's nothing wrong in saying that. It doesn't mean that one government is better than the other or the opposition is better. We have to deal with the government that is here. I have a lot of respect for people. I may have my opinions. I may say that they should step up. They can do better. Yes. But don't forget, Azmin Ali, he met us on a on a public holiday, which was, I think it was the 1st of February, something, I can't remember, but it was on a public holiday with his whole team, right? So don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not criticizing the ministers. I'm just saying there is a lack of connection between them. They should work better. They need to communicate better. I think they need to step up. And when I say they need to step up, it's based on my perception, at least, that things could have been done better. And they're the ones who are responsible at this point in time. But don't get me wrong, I'm not against this government.
Yeah, so I think I just want to echo you here. I think what a lot of people don't realize is it's very easy to have a punching bag, and that's human nature. You just want to have one figure, the donkey that you want to smash, and at the moment that seems to be Azmin Ali. A couple of weeks ago it was somebody else, and a couple of weeks ago it was somebody else before that. But at the end of the day, you know more than most people how there are good people who work hard. They try, doing the best they can. And the point is, all you're saying is they could do better. Things could be done better. Just because someone comes off as doing something wrong and everybody hates, it does not mean that person did not do something or have good intentions. Just maybe something could be done better.
Yeah, really, I'm telling you, I met with these ministers and they opened their doors. So I have no reason to complain against any of the ministries. Yes, I've been vocal. Yes, like everybody else, but I'm not a yes man. And most of these ministers, including Tengku Zafrul, when we met him, he says, look, I'm open to criticism as long as it's constructive. So, I mean, I can't say anything bad about that. Really, I mean, in a virtual meeting with our members, Tengku Zafrul said that, and I don't see how any of the other ministers have felt otherwise. They've come out and said, well, you know what, if you have to say something, right? So don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing any of the ministers. In fact, I think they're doing, under the circumstances, okay. Well, they're trying, but they can do better.
Okay, apparently my visual has been lost. You can't see me, right, bro?
No, I can't.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, never mind. I'm going to put you on the spot before we call it to the end. And I know this is an impossible question to answer, but hey, you know what? You know why? If you had to choose right now the next prime minister of the country, who would you choose?
Sai Sadiq.
Sai Sadiq? Yeah, rock and roll, my friend.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, he's saying the right things. I don't know him. I don't know what he hasn't really shown himself in what he's capable of doing or not. But I think he's certainly saying at least a lot of good things, which resonates well with a lot of people. That's all I can say.
Okay, I love that answer. So here's the thing, though, to everyone who's watching out there, that's the whole point. You're allowed to have an opinion, and you don't need to be slaughtered over the opinion you have. Okay, unless you like Manchester United. In that case, that's a whole different story. Joke. That's a joke. All right, chill, guys. So you know what? I just want to say thank you so much, Dato David. Thank you for spending this time with us. The comments have been absolutely amazing. Thank you, everyone who's watching it.
Thank you.
There's still a lot of work to do. I mean, we're we're not doing half the work. But any last words before we go off? Anything you want to say to leave on a brighter note? Like what, as us as individuals,
Well,
you as a person,
you
what
know,
do you do moving forward?
at the end of the day, we can complain as much as we want, but ultimately it's up to us. So we all need to accept some responsibility. We all need to try and stay home as much as possible. We all need to try and observe SOPs. We all need to play a part in trying to bring the flatten the curve. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. It's difficult times, and I mean, I'll be honest, right? It's not about pointing blame at anyone. Nobody can actually get it right. It's a novel situation. Nobody knows. Nobody's dealt with this before, right? So the blame game doesn't get anywhere. Constructive ideas, constructive criticism, the will to change, that's what's going to make a difference. And it starts with us. Yeah, it starts with us. We need to do something about it. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Well said, Dato David. Thank you so much for spending this hour on our live Facebook post. Thank you so much. Little shout out. You big on Facebook, Instagram. What is it? David Gurupatham. Follow you on Facebook. Is that right? Or
my Facebook is private, but Instagram is public. DD36.
DD
36.
36. All right, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has been commenting, who has been sharing this live Facebook session. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry we could not feature everyone out there. We could not feature all your comments, but thank you so much. I did see one comment that I really wanted to bring up. I'm just going to end on this guy, Ahmad Fazli. He'd like to have some happy dick. I have no idea what he's talking about. Maybe it's Richard Nixon, but Ahmad Fadli, I hope you get some happy dick in your life. And we all, as Malaysians, hope that things can be, better than they are right now. Everyone out there, yes.
Can I just end by saying, look, don't
Please,
stress.
dude.
Don't stress yourself out too much. Listen, at the end of the day, it's just Harith and I. We're having a conversation. We're all friends, and quite often actually we disagree on a lot of things. It's just a chat. At the end of the day, what's important is people are dying. The frontliners are stressed, and so don't get stressed. Your life is short. Let's just think about things. Be responsible. Take a break. Have a Kit Kat. Cheers. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Just going to say goodbye to Dr. David right now. Thanks, David. We'll talk to you soon. I'm just going to remove you from the broadcast. Everybody say goodbye to David. Sorry. Okay. Thank you, David. Okay. Guys, absolutely awesome. I'm just going to go through some of the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks to David, I think. And the point was actually that we're just having a conversation. We are just having a conversation. And to be honest, David and myself, we're not buddies or friends anyway, but, I love the way they were connected on this. So I'm not going to say goodbye yet. Everybody wants to say goodnight. Okay, guys, you can say goodnight. Okay. I just want to say thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much for watching. I can't promise that I'm going to be on live tomorrow, but you know what? Here's what I want to do. I'm going to reach out to people like Said Sadiq and to Dato Sri Najib Raza, as well as even Tun Mahathir, and just see whether I can have them on the show. Thank you, David, for being such a great guest for us tonight. Guys, please follow Industries Unite. Industries Unite. It is a group that David heads as well. And I like the fact that we've had a very civil conversation, and we can agree and disagree on a lot of things. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you for commenting. My name is Harith Iskandar. Please do what you can. Be responsible. Stay safe. And look after yourself, look after your family, look after your society, look after your community, and end of the day, look after people in general. So I will see you guys soon. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum. And we'll be back maybe in a couple of days on another Harith Iskandar Facebook Live. Thank you. Good night.